Oh my god. I'm making another video on a CRT. Alright, what's going on, guys? So my name is P017 or P017, whichever you prefer. And if you've been watching my videos lately, you'll know that I haven't posted a video in about 2.5 weeks. And it's partially my fault, but I've also been a little bit busy with work. Things have been changing, so you get how it is. Anyways, I've been wanting to make this video for quite some time, and if you watched any of my previous videos as well as my short video that I made on this set, as well as the other two TVs that went along with it, you'll know that I've had this for a little bit. This is a Samsung TXP1430 14-inch flat CRT TV. Now this one I had serviced with the other two TVs, specifically the Toshiba 14AF42 and 14AF43, from a person who let me service them. This TV, however, is now my TV. So he gave me this TV kind of as like a payment thing, but overall he just said, hey, go ahead and take this one just because, and I was like, okay, cool. So this is mine now. Part of the reason why I kind of wanted this TV in the first place, well, this is a Samsung Dynaflat set. So what do I mean by Dynaflats? Well, like, for example, here, this is a Samsung Dynaflat TV, and I tend to like them quite a lot, in fact. They're not really that amazingly built. They're actually pretty cheap, honestly. But they, for their, I guess, their build quality, they have a surprisingly decent image. And that is what attracted me to get 4 of them now. So this is my 4th one. And as you can see here, this is how it looks. And it's surprisingly good for what it is. Also to mention, this is running on composite video, if you can believe that. Now, part of the reason why I've also been wanting this is actually I've been looking for this set for quite a while now, because my first ever CRT that I've started to get back into was this thing. Now this is a Samsung Dynaflat, I believe it's a TXL or TXM1491F. This is its older brother from the early 2000s, whereas this TV is from the mid-2000s. Now this one's a little bit more capable than the other one there, in the sense of not only does this have composite video with a better comb filter built into it, this also has component video, which is surprising for a 14-inch set. Now, if you've seen my previous 2 videos on the Toshibas, you'll know that they came with composite S-video and component. I'm pretty jealous of that because I wish this did come with S-video, but for how composite looks, I'm surprised by how it is. So I'll be showing you both video inputs and how they look. Like I said, this one right now is on composite video, but let's go ahead and do a little bit of an overview on this set just because I've been rambling for quite some time. Now, of course, for the front of the set, you do get a power button, as well as a channel up and down, volume up and down, and a menu button. Over here on the side, you get one composite input. This is your front composite input with dual stereo, which is a really good sign. Back here, as you can see, this is the logo, and I'm trying to get a good view because it's a little tight back here, but this is a TXP1430 built in 2005 in November, and right below it is where the magic happens. So this is your component video as well as an extra composite input port. So if you can have both rear and front composite. It is auto sensing, so if you have it plugged up to the front, it'll run from the front, or if you have it plugged into the rear, it'll run from the rear without any change in the remote. Now, component video, and I'll go ahead and show you this remote here. This is the one that it came with, actually, so this is really cool. Component video is on a separate input, so obviously you get a little separate component input right there, which is really nice. It means you don't have to worry about changing anything up or anything like that. So I can just run my composite video to the front and component into the back. So overall, how does this TV do when it comes to its performance, and why do I like it so much? This TV is surprisingly good, so as I can show you when I zoom in here, like I said, this is on composite video, and it's got a surprisingly decent display for what it is. Not very much rainbowing at all, not very much artifacts, any sort of issues whatsoever. When it comes to the actual video, there is maybe a tiny little bit of color bleed, but overall, not that bad. Also, this particular set did have a problem that I did address thanks to a YouTube video online, funny enough, about this set and other Samsung sets. So what I mean by this set was built pretty cheap, I do mean it. So you do have to be a little bit mindful about these things. If they're a little out of specs, let's say some of the capacitors are not working as well anymore, anything like that. They do have a tendency to die a little bit more prematurely than other sets, so just be mindful of that when it comes to looking at this set. However, If your benefits outweigh the concerns for this set, for example, if you have a really good working Dynaflat, like all my 4 do, then this will be very, 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 very good for a little portable setup. You could bring this to Melee tournaments, you can have this just sitting on your desk, you'd have it sitting just like on your bookshelf, anything like that, and it just works really, really well, plus the component input makes for great 480i gaming from stuff like a GameCube, Xbox, PS2, anything like that. Get really good video quality out of that. And I'll go ahead and show you in another clip right here how that looks. Of course, there is one other thing that I did want to show you, so I do have 240p test suite pulled up, of course. Now we'll go ahead and go down to the grid setting, and I'll show you just how the scan lines on the set look. So if we zoom in here, you might be able to see it is slightly defined, not that sharp or anything like that, but for what it does in terms of its capabilities, it's surprisingly good for a 14-inch set. Now, obviously, this won't be beating out any video monitors, anything like that, nothing high-end there, but this will definitely do the job just right. So, for example, if we get close in here into Artemio, you'll see that this set looks surprisingly pretty good. Also, this in particular does have decent convergence as well, not the best, but it works pretty good for corner convergence especially. And on these flat CRTs, they tend to have more convergence issues than your curved CRTs, but in my experience with these Samsung Dynaflats, they tend to have less convergence issues, so that's a plus. But anyways, alright, so as you can see here, I now have F-Zero GX running on my GameCube through component video. And just from how it looks like, it's surprisingly pretty good. So let me go ahead and get some more clips here just to show you. This is kind of in a more darker environment. Let me see if I can get something that's a little bit lighter. Alright, that's a little bit better. So yeah, overall, when it comes to 480i performance, this thing does amazingly. Due to the fact that this does have pretty small scan line gap, it means that 480i looks surprisingly well. So, as you can see here just from the footage of Blue Falcon on F-Zero GX, I really like it a lot. So this set is surprisingly good for GameCube, PS2, Xbox, anything like that. For 3D games, it's fantastic for what it can do. Even older 3D games, like such as Final Fantasy VII, anything like that, will turn out to be really well. So you can still use your Nintendo 64, PS1, anything like that to play on this. Of course, for, say, the N64 and the PS1, you would be limited to composite video unless you were to, say, mod it for RGB and then run it through a component transcoder to be able to get component video onto this. So, do keep that in mind with this set. Like I said, it doesn't have S-Video, but it's still surprisingly good. Now, of course, there is one last thing I did want to show you about this set. Of course, this is with the menu. So, as you can see here, I have my remote. Now, when it comes to the menu settings, these are pretty simple. So, you just have your picture, which the first part is just mode custom. So, this is your adjustments here on how it looks like. You also have, if I go back, oh, there we go. Dynamic, standard, movie, custom, whatever. I set it to custom because I wanted to adjust everything here. So I have contrast, brightness, sharpness, color, and tint. Of course, with your contrast and your brightness, you don't want the contrast to be maxed out or else it will wash out the picture in some cases. Same with your brightness. You don't want your brightness too high or else you'll wash out your black levels. Sharpness, you don't want too high either or else for 2D games in particular, especially with 2D sprites, you will get something called haloing, which is something that you want to try and avoid if you can. Essentially what it is it's just a white border around your 2D images or any like text or anything like that. It's more primarily seen in 2D, which is why I'm referencing such. Color, don't want it to be too saturated, so I left it at 49, and my tint, I want it to be as even as possible, so I left it as is. So, color tone, this is your color temperature, so normal, warm, and cool. And then, of course, your size, this is normal and zoom. I don't know why you'd ever use zoom, but whatever. And, of course, you also have audio settings here. So, you have mode custom because I adjusted the audio settings a little bit. This thing has something called turbo sound, which is surprisingly amazing. All it does is really is just boost the bass up by a lot, but it sounds a lot better when you do it. So honestly, I'd recommend you doing that. Turn off surround sound. Turn off auto volume. The melody, this is for whenever you do turn on and off the TV. It's kind of funny. It makes a little jingle. 3 out of my 4 Dynaflats make that jingle, so I just leave it on, because why not? And then, of course, you have your channels for your analog TV and function, whatever. You don't need to mess with any of that. But that's pretty much what you get for the menu. Now, I'm not going to show the service menu in this one in particular, just due to the fact that when you do turn on the service menu on this, you have to turn off and on the TV. It will reset some of the settings in the video, and since I already have them set to where I want them to, I don't want to have to reset that. But if you do want to get into your service menu, what you would do is you would turn off this TV, then you would go on this specific remote, you do mute 182 and then power, and it would work just fine. Now you can use that Samsung remote, or you can also use something like this. Here, let me go ahead and show you a better image. This came from a flat screen TV that broke, unfortunately, on me, but I kept the remote because pretty much every single Samsung remote from, I guess, as old as they started using remotes to today, for some reason, work on all these Samsung sets. So, if you have a Samsung flat screen TV laying around, say from your parents, or say you bought one, you can use it for this TV, which is really awesome. So, surprisingly versatile for what it is. So that's why I also partially like this set. It's just because Samsung, you can call it cheapening out or parts binning, but honestly, it makes things easier to use. So overall, this set is fantastic for both 2D and 3D gaming. I highly recommend it if you can find one at a reasonable price. Do not pay, or do not overpay for any of these CRT TVs, especially these Samsung Dynaflats. Like I said, they are built a little bit more cheap, so do keep that in mind when you're going to look at these sets. Just make sure that overall your picture is good, filled in, you could say, because this does not have any horizontal size adjustments, just vertical size and position, as well as horizontal position. This also does not have any sort of adjustments for pin cushioning, so this, in particular, this set does have a little bit of pin cushioning issues, so just be a little aware of that. This set also did have one other problem where the horizontal size was actually squished in on itself a little bit, and that was due to the horizontal coil on the inside of the set failing. Now, I don't know how I got lucky with this, but there was one guy who made a video on another Samsung TV that was also a CRT that has it's a coil that's controlling the H size, and unfortunately that tends to fail from what I found out. This one was no different, and all you do for that is you just jumper the coil. So you basically bypass it with just a little wire that's running from the positive and negative, and boom, your horizontal size is now maxed out and it's filled in. So that's what I had to do to this set to get it to look good, as well as adjust the colors. And unfortunately, the colors took me way longer than I really wanted it to, but if I decide to open up this set, or if I decide to make a video showing you the service menu, I will go ahead and probably show you all those things, just so you guys are aware of it, and you don't have to go through tons and tons of videos to find an Indian guy talking about it in a different language. Yeah. But overall, this set, fantastic. So if you do find one, pick it up. If you have one of these sets, or if you have one of its brothers, for example, like me, I have the TXR1430. This one, like I said, is a TXP1430. If you have the 16-inch version of this set, I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on it. But overall, that's all I got for now. Thank you so much for watching this video, and like I said, if you have this set, tell me, like this video, subscribe to me if you want to see more of these. Hopefully I'll start posting more. And I'll see you guys in the next video.